The business of television, and especially television news, is evaluated by ratings done by Nielsen. And NEWSMAX is rated like all major channels. Nielsen closed their ratings book for August a couple days ago, and NEWSMAX ratings remain rock solid. Comparing this year's third quarter with last year's third quarter, programming at NEWSMAX prime time is up 73%. Other day parts are way up as well. Meanwhile, as you see from this chart, Fox is down almost 20%, CNN down 12%, about flat for MSNBC, down just 1 point. The CEO of NEWSMAX, Chris Ruddy, joins me tonight. A rare appearance on Schmitt Tonight. Sir, good to have you back on. What explains the rise of these ratings in your mind?
Well, first of all, Rob, I'm glad to be back on, and congratulations to you, because I was looking at your ratings, and they were among the highest increase, 75%. So you outdid the network, and those are huge numbers. Usually, if a TV channel goes up 10, 15%, like that's cause for like champagne bottles to open. Right. This is just incredible, and it's across the network. And in answer to your question, what's causing this? I think Americans are voting, right? They vote now with their remote control, and you know instantly what they think and how they feel. And when they're tuning into NEWSMAX, they like it, they stay, and tell people about coming to NEWSMAX. And we're just seeing consistent growth across the board.
You certainly are. Do you see it as an aberration? Does this continue like this?
Well, I think it's going to continue for a while. You know, when Tucker Carlson was fired, we saw a big surge back earlier this year in April. Yeah. 5 months later, we're now going in the 6th month. Those ratings are sticking, they're not disappearing, and we're getting a huge share of the Fox audience. When you add our streaming audience on the OTT, in addition to the Nielsen audience, the numbers you just showed, it's even more enormous. We're pulling about 30% of Fox's audience, and Fox had this huge audience in the past, and now we're taking a really big chunk of it. And when you think that we're relatively new and we don't have any large corporate sponsorship, we're independent, truly independent media, I think it's a good sign.
I think it's a great sign. I think when you compare us to something like CNN, which has been around since the beginning of it all, you know, I think we're pretty close to CNN when you account for the fact of, you know, the OTT and all that.
Yeah, we're about equal when you look at what they call the coverage rating on just a proportionate basis. They're in a lot more homes, so their absolute numbers are always going to be a little bigger, usually, but we're catching up on that too.
It's amazing. You know, Fox looks like it's in a lot of trouble. The widow of Roger Ailes, the founder of Fox News, was on with Eric Bolling last night. Let's take a look.
Why do you think Fox is failing?
I think the network is falling apart because of a lack of leadership. Obviously, Roger was one of a kind. I was watching a video earlier today of Rush Limbaugh when he came up to the Hudson Valley for Roger being named the Good Scout. And he talked about how Roger was such a unique man with such a perspective and a love for America.
Hasn't been that long since they lost Roger Ailes, and look at how far they've fallen.
Well, Roger was a great man, great television, good friend of mine, and Beth is as well. I think very highly of her. I'm not sure the network's falling apart. She may have better sources than I do at that network, but I would say it does certainly lack direction. When Tucker Carlson was fired, and he was the #1 host, hugely popular, and they gave no explanation. To this day, we still don't know why he was fired. I think it's very unusual. They're in a situation, you know, 42% of Americans in the latest McLaughlin poll said they trust Fox less because of the 42% of Republican voters, which is the base of the Fox News audience. And they trust them less. I think that's a big number. And when you have the Republican frontrunner, Donald Trump, not showing up at their debate, and he's saying he's not going to show up if they're hosting, I think it's an embarrassment for the network.
I do too. I think that cost them millions of viewers that night, probably at least 5 million viewers, I think. Trump came out on Truth Social today, had some pretty hard-hitting words about Rupert Murdoch, who's the billionaire who controls Fox, was Roger's old boss, of course. Trump says he's a globalist of Murdoch. He says he's pushing Ron DeSantis. Your reaction to that? Well,
you know, full disclosure, I once worked for Rupert Murdoch in my early days in journalism, and I actually have a pretty high opinion of him. The man has made an enormous contribution, I think, to the cause of freedom, not only in the United States, around the world. It was his newspapers, like single-handedly, took on the liberal establishment in England, Australia, here in the United States at the New York Post, the Wall Street Journal. I worked at the Post for a while. And then Fox News. He placed billions of dollars as a bet on Fox News. And I think Fox has made it. I don't think Donald Trump would have been elected had there not been a Fox News. What we've seen in recent years is that Fox is changing direction. It's not clear to me that Rupert Murdoch still runs the network on a day-to-day basis, but I do believe he is a great conservative and a great American.
Do you think Fox comes back around? Do they embrace Trump now that it looks pretty clear he's got the nomination?
Yes, I think they do.
Yeah.
I think they will. I don't think they've treated him all that well. He is the former president. He was the president. I think that, even though Rupert Murdoch is a conservative, Donald Trump wasn't his cup of tea. I don't know all the reasons for why they disagree or dislike each other. I personally think that a news network of that size, or like NEWSMAX or any of the big networks, should not get in the business of picking candidates. They should be an open forum of all the candidates. At NEWSMAX, like, we have Will Hurd. Now, he's a little-known candidate. He's coming on. Chris Christie was just on. Larry Elder. Nikki Haley's been on. Ron DeSantis. We have everybody on. We don't tell voters the viewers, like, who they should pick.
Right.
And I think Fox has made a mistake by doing this in the past. They picked Romney in 12. That was a disaster. They opposed Trump in 16. They backed, 4 or 5 candidates to stop Trump. It didn't make any sense. I think, again, let voters decide. If the voters really love Donald Trump, and they seem to, let them have their pick, and then let the voters in the general election decide. But again, I think it's a mistake to do that.
What can our viewers expect for the future of NEWSMAX?
Well, they're going to decide the future of NEWSMAX. We don't. Just like in the elections, with those remote controls and telling their friends and family. And I think we're going to continue to grow. I think we're on the ascent. We have the election ahead of us. People are just coming in, and the numbers speak for themselves. They don't lie. I mean, the ratings are way up, and they've been sticking for 5 or 6 months. I think that's going to continue. We're excited about the shows and the lineup. Greg Kelly, as you know, is moving to 9 p.m. next week.
Yeah.
He's been doing great, and we felt there would be more of a need for the talk show with Chris Plant and the Right Squad, which we're very happy with, at 10 o'clock, where voters can assess, or the viewers can assess, what's gone on throughout the day. But we're going to have a lot of changes coming up, a lot more programming, especially on the weekend. We think it's really important. People are at home, and we're excited, I think, and we have a lot of momentum behind us.
Certainly do. The boss, NEWSMAX Media CEO Christopher Ruddy. Sir, good to have you on. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Rob. Appreciate it.